Hey, George, do the thing. That's all we're asking for. Thank you to those that continue to support us in any way that they can.
Wrong thing.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
With the Bruce, the Yank, and Major Socks.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 67 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. And we have also got Major Socks.
Hello, everyone. George, are you still gobbled up from Thanksgiving or past holiday? Because you're tongue-tied a little bit there.
Yes, I'm still a bit delirious, imbibing in my ritual sacrifice of turkey. Yeah.
The giant turkey goddess has stolen his tongue and will not give it back.
Nope. Not tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, so here we are for another episode. For those of you that have come across us for the first time, welcome. Join us on YouTube as well, youtube.com/gettingtabled, and subscribe. We're trying to march towards 1,000 subscribers, and we'd like to get there before our next birthday in April. So, come, join us. If you're interested in supporting us, we have a Patreon too.
It's crazy, it's almost been 2 years since this new one.
It's been longer than 2 years.
2 years for us. 2 years for us. You were in a luxury tent for some of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
hey, I showed up for that first
tent
one, though.
that wasn't in the middle of the hotel.
I even showed up for the first episode.
Yes, he did, actually.
Like 4 o'clock in the morning for me, so I don't want to hear anything of it.
All right. We haven't done this for a little while. I'm going to do a little bit of follow-up from the last fortnight, just because I have actually had some decent comments on YouTube and so forth. So, very, very quickly. Johnny H5 on YouTube was replying to one of our Prepare for Conquest videos, and basically thanking me. He was basically asking if I could talk about the war chant rule, which is something that I'd kind of mentioned what it is, but kind of danced around actually covering it in itself, because I was going to leave it till later for when I understood how to implement it properly. But yes, Johnny, I'm definitely going to do a video on that at some point soon. It won't be this week, but it will be soon. Jarrett Carnelian also replied to a Prepare for Conquest video. In the video in question, which is number 21, I'd actually quoted something he'd said in a previous video, which was a suggestion on how to use one of the units that I'd been talking about. Something that he'd done, and it was very successful. I altered what he'd said slightly to make it work for what I had. And basically what he had to say was, thanks for looking into my suggestion. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, but if you have a choice between hunters and slingers, I would go slingers. But if you have hunters available, definitely take them and field them with a Predator's warband like you did. So basically he was agreeing with me. What he had said was essentially that, yeah, slingers were better, go with slingers. But he wasn't saying not to take hunters, which is how I'd kind of read the intention. And then finally, Rusted Beetle on YouTube had a comment on my unboxing of the Infestor Queen, saying that he wants to get the Infestors, and I agree with him. You should get all of the bots, because all of the box is gorgeous, and you need to have all of them. And the Infestors above them all. Have them kill the Valiants and destroy them. And that's it for me on follow-up. I don't suppose either of you guys have any follow-up. It doesn't have to be comments.
I have no follow-up.
Shall we talk about some news, then?
Some
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
So, we're back into it again. Games Workshop are releasing high heavens of things. Quite literally in one of our last stories. Every time this year they do these battle boxes, and some years they feel very random. This year I think it's pretty much what I was expecting. On the Age of Sigmar side, we've got a giant box of the Revenant Legion, which is our Gravelords, so it's all your vampires and your undead stuff, which was new earlier in the year. Quite a decent, big-looking box, to be honest. They also have, I'm going to say, Sybarite Blade Carnival, which is all of your Slaanesh demons and stuff, yeah, which was another, a lot of that is also new. And we've got the Venari Shining Host, which is all of your new elves, the Hish elves that people either love or they hate. I'm kind of about them. I mean, I don't hate them. They're not an army for me. Although I've never really been an elf person anyway. George loves elves though, don't you, George?
Apparently not.
No, because he's a dwarf person. He can't stand them. It's default. And then finally on that side... Sorry?
They once shaved a beard off a dwarf. That is unforgivable.
Yes,
regardless. Regardless.
The oldest of them, they're doing the Mortesian Tithe Echelon, which is the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. So this is still newish. Most of this is from last year. But I can't say... none of this really feels random this year. It all kind of feels like it fits in. In this article, there's also a Vanguard thing coming out for the Maggot of Nurgle, but that's not really it's one of your regular box sets. I think some pretty decent choices on the Age of Sigmar side this year. My favourite's easily the Soulblight Gravelords, just because I love those models. I don't suppose either of you have any preferences?
I'm pretty neutral on this whole thing, just because all four of these armies, I am very, on a scale of 1 to 10, barely registering a 0.1 on collecting them.
Oh, well, that is true. I mean, I'm not buying any of them either. I'm just saying.
Well, no, based off that though, and it's just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
kind of like Captain Sock or Major Socks, Hey, what do you think of Age of Sigmar there, Socks?
What sort of person would demote him back down to captain again so quickly? I know.
Again,
hey,
so quickly.
You did it.
Hey, there's no evidence that I did that. We weren't recording at the time. I'm innocent. George did it on camera.
Two versus one.
Keep on getting demoted here, folks. I'm sorry. I'm like George. I mean, I do like the look of the elves. Granted, I've always liked the look of elves, even if I wasn't ever going to get into the game.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. I'm just curious. In our next one, it's essentially the same thing, but on the 40k side. We've got 6 boxes on the 40k side. This is my surprised face at 40k, getting more attention than Age of Sigmar.
Isn't it like a 6-to-1 ratio at tournaments though for players?
Depends on where you are. In Australia at one point it was very much the other way. Age of Sigmar.
Really?
At the last CanCon I went to, which was obviously a couple of years ago at this point, it was double the Age of Sigmar players over 40k. I'm not saying that that's still current, but it was at that point. Keeping in mind that obviously tournaments are almost a non-thing until very recently.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got a Space Marines Battle Force because, of course, we do. It's Space Marines. This is pretty much a staple. Yeah, I know. I was very shocked as well.
What's not surprising?
Oh, but look, it's very... I mean, they never do anything with Space Marines. They ignore them all the time. It's just surprising that they actually pay attention to them this year. No, I mean, there's a Space Marine bundle every year. A lot of it is kind of stuff we've seen released a few times. It's just another bundle for people to get in, and that's fine. In another most surprising thing ever, we've got the Adeptus Soriatus, which... So,
I'm not surprised by this.
No, I was being sarcastic. I'm not surprised by this. Oh, this is an army that got released this year after 3 years of build-up. There's a reason this is getting attention.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, given how well it's sold on the first release, they're not going to stop pimping this army, for lack of better words, just because it is so popular right now. And not to sound like that guy, but how many nerds out there are going to use this army to get their significant others in?
But that's not a bad point, to be fair.
Here's not to be that nerd that says that, but there's nerds out there saying that because it's an army of girls. You can play a bunch of girls and kick ass.
We've then got the Adeptus Mechanicus in the Omnissiah's Talon. Most of these are fairly new models as well. And then we have the Plague Fester's Warband for Nurgle. Well, Death Guard. Which is...
Nurgle.
Yep, it's all Nurgle. We then have the World Scale Legion for the Necrons in, yet again, a very shocking decision. Because, of course, the Necrons were re-released this year, so that would make sense. And this is probably the one that feels random to me. Because we get an Orcs battle force, and that's good, because the Orcs got a re-release this year. But nothing in this is from the new releases. That I can see. Like, this is all stuff from at least a year ago. If not longer. Because the Orcs that got released this year were all the riding on squid guys. And we've lost to George.
I think he had a door knock. There's George.
Welcome back.
The puppy was sitting next to the door, and she decided that she had an itch that she had to scratch. And thus, it sounded like someone was knocking on the door.
Yeah. I was just saying about... The Orc one doesn't surprise me that there's an Orc one. But the fact that there's nothing in it from the new releases really does surprise me. Because all of this stuff is from at least a few years ago. I mean, the speed bike is the newest thing in there, and that's at least 3 years old.
The War Chief on bike is probably the newest thing in that box.
That I can say. I mean, unless I'm wrong, but everything from the new releases were the Squig Riders.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have no.
That doesn't make them bad. I just find it surprising.
I don't know Orcs, so
yeah.
The only thing I can say, and I'm disappointed, but there's no way they will ever do a box like this. There's no Custody box.
Well, that's and they're not even that old. But no, I suspect that you're right because they're one of the premium ones. They're not going to put a discount on it.
Well, you get like 6 miles on the field, and that's 1,000 points. So I mean,
yeah. I mean, again, it's another nice selection. You got some decent options. It's good to see that there's at least one Xenos race in there. Oh, sorry, 2 Xenos races in there. Nothing really jumps out at me. I mean, we're not talking about value here. I mean, I'm sure that there's boxes that are worth more than others. But I just don't really care about the value on these things. They're usually always a good deal. We also don't know what their final price is yet, so...
Yeah,
can't really. I kind of suspect that the Sisters of Battle will be the one that sells out first.
You're probably right.
We've had the Space Marines re-released that many times over the last couple of years that I'd be very surprised if there's people that still want it that don't have it.
Now, the one caveat I will say is, like, how much is the final price of this box?
Yeah.
Because depending on how much that price of that box is, I could see the Orc box being very popular too, with the Chieftain on the bike and the Bama, however you Orc people say that stuff. Can I say Orc people?
Whatever. I suspect that these are going to be priced fairly... I mean, they're not going to be 70%... Like, they're not going to be stupid. But they are going to be priced fairly competitively. Christmas time tends to be the only time of the year where you get an actual proper discount on this stuff. Because these boxes sell out fairly quickly for a fairly good reason. So, saying that, I'm predicting that the Death Guard will be the one that you still find on the shelf in 6 months' time. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't think that it's going to be as popular.
I'm going to agree with that. The Death Guard has run its popularity of, check it out, new Death Guard. That's
which is, I mean, there's decent stuff in it, but it's just, to me, it's the least exciting of them. And whilst, yes, value is a thing, because I realise some of these kits are not cheap ones, but you look at the boxes just purely as a visual, and it looks like there's a lot less in it compared to everything else.
Here's why I'm saying 150. Go up to the Space Marine box, Bruce.
Yep.
So, okay, you got the jet speeder thing there. That's like what, $50?
Good question. You're talking US prices, but I'm just going to say yes. Okay.
Okay. And then you got that squad of about 10 in the back. That's another $50-$60.
Yep.
You got the squad here in the front right. That's another $50-$60.
Yep.
That would then put these guys over on the left, the heroes and that little one squad of 5 as your bonus, which is about the right amount of bonus that GW is going to put it in a box of that size.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. So essentially what you're like, you get a box of heroes for free plus your hero is for free. You're paying for everything else.
Right. Yeah. Or you're getting the vehicle for free, or however you want to break it down and manipulate the money around.
Some years have been better than others. I mean, there was 6 or 7 years ago, they did a tower box set that was just stupidly cheap. It was like half the price of normal, but they haven't really replicated that since. I mean, I'd love to be wrong, Games Workshop, and I'm not actually throwing shade here. I mean, they're a business; they need to make money.
Yeah. I was going to say there's the Tau one, and remember the Armageddon boxes they released a couple years ago, right before all the...
Yep. Yeah, they were good value too.
The Eldar one was a stupid good value.
It was, yeah. The only issue with the Eldar one from memory is there was stuff that wasn't really good in the game yet. I don't know what in the new edition. But
the other issue... It's all old sculpts for the Eldar because...
Well, that too, yeah. There is a rumour that that's going to be changing very soon. I don't believe that rumour, but there is a rumour out there. The reason I don't believe it is it comes from a source on Reddit, and it's not a source that's ever been reliable. So
I'll believe it when I see it.
Now, we do know that there is some stuff coming, but I would be very surprised if it's a complete relaunch on the level of Necrons, which is what they're saying. Captain Socks. I know that you're not into it, but is there any favourites amongst that?
So you demote him now too? Okay.
We've been calling him Captain Socks for like 6 years. It's really hard to break that habit.
It's true.
So here's the solution. Socks.
What's that?
Do something really bad, get yourself busted down. I know that's really hard to do, officer.
Nope. I like my pay raise. Sorry. So does the wife.
You heard it here first, folks. He's a selfish person that only cares about himself.
No. Thinking of my family.
He should be thinking of us and how hard it is for us to remember not to call him captain. Because it's selfish of him to want things for himself.
I know what we can do. We can just put little oak leaf pictures up there in my video screen.
I do have Major Socks sitting underneath your name.
Yeah, you do have that too. You have that title under it too. So
next, I'm going to flat out say this. This is probably one of the coolest terrain sets Games Workshop has ever done, and it has nothing to do with Age of Sigmar, Warhammer, any of that. It is Lord of the Rings, which you can use that for Age of Sigmar because the scale is pretty darn close.
Yeah.
It is the Rohan Stronghold, and here's why I think it's so awesome. You get 6 buildings.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're cookie cutter village buildings like you would see in a village, not the randomness of some of these village sets I've seen. The other great thing is too, and I hope to God you can do 2 sets where you can get more of the wall. But you get a wood spear wall with little lookouts.
Yeah.
And to be fair, if you wanted to use this for Age of Sigmar, It would be so easy to de-Lord of the Rings this. All you got to do is cut off the little decorations above the doorways and the sides of the houses.
That's the only thing that really gives it away is, it's Rohan, so there's a bunch of horse heads everywhere.
Yeah.
Not like Godfather, but
Yes. Although there might be a horse's head in the beds inside. You never know.
That's true.
We never really looked inside the cabins in the movies.
That's true. But as I was saying, if you can buy this one set where you get the walls, the towers, and the buildings, that's fantastic. I do hope you can get the walls separately so you can get more wall going.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also, I suspect, because they're not talking about this being limited edition. This appears to be a regular release. And it needs to be, because this is something that needs to be available for a very long time. They will make bucket loads of money on this.
Yeah, especially when all the houses come with little fences and barrels as...
Oh, yeah.
Editor too.
It is a beautiful kit in the fact of it is what a terrain kit needs to be. I mean, this is Games Workshop plastic that you usually get out of someone's MDF.
Yes, yeah. And quite frankly, Lord of the Rings is a game that needs a really good release like this. I'm not downplaying. Lord of the Rings has a very strong scene, but it kind of feels like the Ugly Stepchild or something sometimes, where, oh yes, you can have this little release now, go away please. Like, this feels significant. They've actually done something big.
I've got the better analogy.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings is Cinderella, and the two Warhammer games are the Ugly Stepsisters.
Yep, that fits. There's also some new board game, and this is how much I care about the new board game. Oh, I'm sure it's fine, but it doesn't. They don't really show much about it, which kind of is all I really need to know. So yeah, moving on to something that's going to sound like shade, but I swear it's not. This is an announcement of a safety recall for the Koyo Bouncing Squig limited edition plush. Why are we covering this? Is it just so we can have a go at Games Workshop? No, it's because this is important information that people kind of need to know, and this sort of stuff doesn't get noticed by a lot of people. So I'm kind of pointing it out. There's an issue where things haven't been stitched on properly. You can read further onto the article. We will put it into the notes. But the important thing is the safety recall is for the UK, Europe, Japan, and Australia. Games Workshop are going to be giving full refunds. You can either take it back to the store for a full refund, or you can do it digitally. There's instructions on the website on what you have to send them. And then if you're doing it digitally, you will get a gift voucher instead. So you've got to send back the label and a couple of other things. But yeah, it's. I know we kind of tend to not notice things like this a lot, but realistically, this is probably a news article you need to pay attention to. Especially if you brought this thing. I mean, we laughed about how cute it was when they kind of like, we kind of like had a giggle about it and never really thought about it again. I mean, if I wanted to throw shade, I could probably go, well, maybe Games Workshop need to be more careful about who they're licensing their stuff out to. But let's be fair, this sort of stuff happens with soft toys all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if I had gotten this, I mean, it's a pretty cool plushie to have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do this. I would sit on my shelf and I would just keep it because, well, my child is 14. I am older than that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and chew on it, you know? Now, if you are, say, Major Socks, and in this universe, Major Socks likes Games Workshop and plays Games Workshop games and got this, and how old is your youngest? 2, 3, 3? Yeah. 3-year-olds are like labs. Everything goes in their mouth.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good thing that Games Workshop caught this, addressed it.
Yeah. It's probably... This is going to sound like shade, but I swear it's not. I highly doubt they caught this. I suspect they've been forced into doing this.
Well, that's typically how recalls usually work.
Yeah.
So
that was where I was leaning. But if I didn't preface it the way that I prefaced it, I would have been accused of throwing shade, which is not what I'm doing. Like, this is something that happens to everybody all the time. Safety recalls exist for a reason. I've had 2 safety recalls on my motorbike since I brought it 7 years ago.
Isn't there a safety recall on it at daily, though, when you're on it?
Not when I'm riding it, only when other people are around, because other people are stupid.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
So yeah, I kind of felt like this was important. They are recommending to stop using the product immediately, which in your case, if it was on display, it would be...
No more cuddling with it.
Pretty much. And to keep the product away from children, for obvious reasons. So yeah, if you have one of these and you're concerned, it's advertised all over their website on the front page. Just read. It's literally linked on the front page. We will put links in the show notes.
Next in the news, Bruce feels personally victimized. Oh, wait, no.
Next in the news, I've lost one of my links. I had the new dragons up, and it's disappeared.
I have them both up, and hence why I said you feel personally victimized.
Have you been looking at the price exchange?
I just looked at that. Yeah, that's...
It's not as... To be fair, it would be worse if our dollar hadn't have crashed yesterday. It's only a $40 difference at the moment, which is not insignificant, but...
Well...
So...
Oh, $250, not $12.50.
So for those that are wondering, we're looking at the new dragons that came out this weekend for... that came on pre-order this weekend for Age of Sigmar. The big boy in Australia is $250, and it's $110 which is about... How much, George?
Oh, no, the big one's $150.
150, sorry, which becomes like 190, 200 or something.
So right now, doing ConvertBot, it is 250. Is that backwards?
Nope. No, it's the right way.
So 250 Australian dollars right now is 178 US dollars.
You're doing it backwards, but yeah. We're getting charged about, like almost $30 more than we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which... in Games Workshop terms, is not as bad as it normally is. I didn't actually put both of those up for that reason. It was just because every time I put the price up, you go, wait, why is it $250? Because you forget that you're looking at Australian prices. So I gave you your own link this time.
That's why I also said, Bruce feels personally victimized because, well, Australia is victimized.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
It is a cool looking dragon.
Yeah, I really like this dragon, to be honest. Ignoring differences in prices, just for a second, because I'm never going to say that that's okay. I'm always going to be on the other side. But, in all honesty, this kit is amazing. Especially the big one. If it didn't have the Age of Sigmar regalia all over it, they would triple their sales. Although I don't imagine it would be hard to remove them.
Yeah, I was just looking at the pieces, and it looks like some of them can be easily removed, or not even installed, like the little gauntlets on the wrist. You don't have to install those.
Oh, actually, the neck brace is separate too.
Yeah, the gauntlets are separate, so that neck piece... You could build this as just a straight-up dragon.
That's a very clever decision, then.
Do they have the legal right to call it a dragon?
Yeah, dragon is a standard thing. But they can't copyright the word dragon, which is why they've called it Dracothian.
No, there is a podcast. They were actually given a cease and desist for calling it stuffed dragons.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was a not Games Workshop, a Wizards of the Coast thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We might have to look into that a little. I'm very surprised.
This was... God, I think I was married.
Dragons
then.
are in everything called dragons. Why is it different for Games Workshop?
Well, this instance was... This was a podcast using an intellectual property. Essentially, they were doing, gaming sessions.
Yeah.
With Wizards of the Coast books and, whatnot. And the cease and desist was delivered because of terminology they were using with the Wizards of the Coast property.
Oh, okay.
So...
That doesn't make it any better. Oh, we're going to have to look into that further, I think.
This was like 10 years ago, so I only...
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
I remember the podcast, but I couldn't tell you much more than that off the top of my head.
Given that Wizards of the Coast literally make millions of dollars because of people sharing their content at the moment, it sounded odd.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes?
Click on the red dragon, and you'll notice he doesn't have any of the stuff.
Yeah, I did notice that, yeah.
Although he's got a scar going there on his face.
Yeah. He's been hit with lightning at some point. Is the story that I'm going with, which I stole directly from Beasts of War. I do think that's the better looking of the two versions too. He is a named character. So it's a dual kit. You can build one of two things. I really, really like this.
Oh, I see one part of the icon stuff that doesn't look like you can remove or get around.
Is it big?
Yeah, if you look in the middle of the chest and the scales, you see the little symbol there. Kind of like the half-sphere with the twin tail things coming off of it. That's on the chest for both the dragons.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's pretty minor. If you just paint it the same colors as everything else, not really going to notice it.
True. Yeah, that is true. Either way, yeah.
Either way, cool looking mini.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. I suspect that this is going to be extremely popular. And look, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that pricing things up in other countries is okay, because it's not. But if we were just talking about even pricing and it was $250, I would argue that it's actually worth $250 in Australia. It's definitely worth $150 in the US. Like, this thing is huge.
I want my old co-host back. What happened to you? Did you hit your head?
This is my point. So on the actual model, if you have a regular Sigmarite, he stands basically to his foot. That's how big this thing is. So the foot that's up on the pillar, that's the height of your 28mm miniature.
Yeah.
This thing is huge. Again, I'm not sitting here and saying that ripping Australia off is okay. It's not. I'm just saying $250 is a good price for this. Doesn't mean that it's okay to rip us off.
Gothica could still beat him down.
Probably. Because we've talked about that one so long, we've kind of skipped over the other two. These are kind of like mini riding dragons. These are also cool. Well, sorry, they're not dragons, they're drakes. My mistake.
Baby dragons.
Yeah, pretty much.
Baby.
Don't call drakes dragons because you'll annoy the wrong people.
Baby.
But this is, I think, probably one of their best Age of Sigmar releases for the last 6 months, maybe.
Can I say something? I love the fact that they actually include pictures of the actual sprue.
Yes.
Nowadays, so you can be like, for the kit bashers out there, like, is this kit worth me spending $110 on to take this and this for this and this and this for that, and what am I going to have left?
And are the people riding it actually part of the body, or can I just not include them?
Right, exactly.
Which on this particular kit, they look to be separate.
I
But
see
I can see
human
moulding where they go in, so you'd still have to green stuff a little, which wouldn't be too hard for people. For people that do it, they'd be used to that.
green stuffing a little dip where something would just sit is a lot easier than like having to hack the leg off and then green stuff a patch.
Yeah, pretty much. So shall we discuss some things that are not Games Workshop and equally nostalgic?
In the world besides Games Workshop, there's other companies we can talk about.
There are, and they're amazing. A lot of them even make much better products. I said it. I said it. Fight me. They may be the most popular games in the industry, but they're not even close to the top 5 in the industry. Who remembers Atmosphere, also known as Nightmare? And did either of you play this in the 90s?
Nope.
Sounds like you're not familiar with it.
I've heard of it. I just never played it.
Okay. So back in the early to mid 90s, there was a board game that came with, now this is going to confuse a lot of people, a VHS. This was before DVDs. It's like DVDs were bigger. And okay, I'm going to stop being a smartass. This
they weren't
is...
bigger. They were...
Oh, the Betamax?
No, Betamax was long dead at that point. The porn industry had killed that already.
You're not wrong.
That's literally the... Well, depends on who you read. Apparently, there are people that say that that's bullshit. Oh, sorry. Okay, so they are re-releasing this game. This is literally the original game being re-released. The video is going to be uploaded to a website so that you can stream it. You get access to it as part of buying the thing.
What's streaming?
It's like a DVD, but it's only on your computer on the internet.
Oh, you mean like what we do?
Yeah, kind of. So, there's 2 ways that you could look at this. This is the original game, therefore it's the pure thing. I personally, the big concern I have, realistically, is that it's an old game with old mechanics, and not all of them hold up as well today as they did at the time. Now, don't get me wrong, this game can be a lot of fun, but this is a long way off top of the industry. Like, this game will feel its age. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing will largely come down to you. It's certainly not Monopoly. It's worlds better than Monopoly, but yeah. The video is going to be the original video as well, as far as I understand. They're not remaking it. There is expansions. I believe that they are from the original expansions. They talk about it further down on the page. The only negative I would say at this point, and this is, again, because it's from the original, all of the tokens and the cards that come with it are fairly thin card. So this is something you're going to want to be careful with because they did not hold up very well over time in the originals. However, there are stretch goals to get better versions of them. So hopefully they unlock.
So would you like to have a concern I have?
Yep.
That may be a little more immediate with the game. So, okay, it came with a piece of physical media that you had in your possession that you could stick in a VHS player.
Yes. Yeah, I was getting to that.
Your VHS machine didn't eat it. Cool, whatever. You have this. It's yours. Like my phone. This is mine. What happens
if the website goes down, then you lose your access, and you cannot play this without it. Yeah.
That's my point. Now there's various platforms out there, couple of which would hopefully be a little more secure, like say the iTunes Store, Google Play Store, stuff like that. Don't host it on a website. Put it on one of those platforms, because if you don't have iTunes, you have Google. If you don't have Google, you have iTunes. there's not that many more out there. And here's the thing. If you have an access code or whatever for it, you know, that's how someone gets it.
Yeah.
Last I checked, these companies aren't charging people to host their stuff.
I'm definitely with you on that. This is something that gets raised quite frequently with games that require an app for you to play. But I do think it's probably a bigger... Because most app... I mean, it's very rare that an app would get taken down.
Yeah.
But if it did, it would kill the game. This is the same thing. In saying that, I would be very surprised if it's not on YouTube somewhere. But given that they are remastering... Yeah, when I said remastering earlier, they're not remaking the footage. It's the same footage, but they're remastering it so it's a higher quality. Because otherwise it would not be watchable. Hopefully... Now, it's being hosted on a website called, I think it was IQ. Yeah, IQ. Oh, no, they're being smart-ass. Never mind. There's a frequently asked question, will the video be remastered to a higher resolution than 4K? Here's a resolution for you. When your IQ hits double figures, sell.
So, I mean, that would be my one huge concern. Is, you know...
Yeah.
Amazon.
I think that's a very fair concern. Hopefully, wherever they host this, will allow you to download it so that you can keep it. That would be ideally, because it wouldn't be an issue then, because you've got access to it. Now, in saying that, if I downloaded it from my access, there's nothing that they could do to stop me giving you a copy. But at the same time, you having a copy of the video is completely worthless to you if you don't have the game. So,
right.
Even if this video is pirated, what are you going to do with it? I mean, I'm sure that there's people out there that would have the original game that may want to get the pirated version of it, maybe, but that's probably already happening with the original. Yeah. I don't know. I found it's very interesting, this one. I mean, my initial reaction was, oh, this is cool. Because, I mean, to some extent it is. Yeah. My second thought was, I have played this since it came out, and it's not as good as... It's fun with the right people, but it's not the greatest of games. It was a game from its time. And that's fine. You wouldn't want them to remake this and change the game anyway. The only thing I would say is that I really hope that they update those cards and stuff, because the stock they looked at on looks like the originals, and those originals did not hold up well. The keys especially. Like, those keys never lasted. They always tore half the time in the box. So I'm hoping that they get to a point of unlocking the stretch goals to increase the card stock on those, because I think you're going to need it. Especially when, I mean, it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap either. Standard edition is $90 US. Sorry, not 90 Australian dollars. 125 for the deluxe version. That also comes with a metal coin. And a special dice set. I mentioned earlier that there's expansions with other people. There's a Baron Samadi one, which I find interesting because I didn't know that that was a character that didn't belong to somebody. There's a werewolf one. There's a countess, which is a vampire, and a witch. All of these, I believe, are from the original releases. The only one I don't recognise is the Poltergeist baby thing. That's possibly just that I hadn't seen it before. Everything else on there kind of... I haven't played all of them, but I've seen them, if it makes sense. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. don't think I'm going to back this because I don't think I need it. This is the sort of game that I could see myself buying and it would just never get off the shelf. So I don't think I need it.
Sorry, I was looking ahead.
Let's have a look.
George saw his bundle that we were talking about 2 weeks ago.
Ah, it's funny that. It's almost like I put a hint in the previews or something. You know, like 3 days ago that you could have commented on. You know, the one where I said, I'm not sure which box I prefer the look of. Okay.
I haven't been home the last 3 days, Bruce.
It's not my fault. All right. I'm just going to open all of these white boxes because, let's be honest, this is the main thing we're going to be talking about. And I know I said this in our private conversation, but I just want to publicly brag about the fact that I really love it when I'm right sometimes. Because I called this. Okay, first things first. We've got Becky Black Friday and Cyber Courier Monday, which are just two cool minis that they just look fun. I like the fact that Becky Black Friday, it looks like she's got an ice cream scooper. Or is that a microphone? I can't quite tell.
That's a microphone.
Oh, it is too. Never mind. I thought maybe she was going to try and scoop out somebody's brains, which would have been funny. But
Well, the bowl almost looks like a scoop of brains or something in the bowl,
does, yeah.
or whatever she's holding.
So, White Boss bundles, they did these last year as well. They were an insane value, and it looks like they are here again. Okay, so starting with the Dressings Ranch White Box. This is the one that was new, that we hadn't seen a release for yet. So none of these buildings we've seen before. I really like this. It would be perfect for Wild West Exodus.
Well, you could.
The first two, the Dressings Ranch is the ranch. You know,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is.
I'm just starting here. Following up, as hinted at, we also have
Main
the
Street.
same street that we were looking at last episode. And this is what I called. I said that this was going to be one of the white boxes. I called it. You can go back and check.
If you had a game large enough that you needed both sets, you could almost have both sets on the same
Or if
table.
you're running a tournament, one or two different tables.
That too.
Or mix it up and
You could
you've got the farm on the edge of town.
That's what I was saying. You could have Main Street on one side of the board and the ranch on the other side of the board and just have a road in between the two or something like that.
I don't know. Well, if I had to pick one set or the other, I don't know which I would pick. I think
Main
I'm
Street.
leaning towards the town still.
I would too, just because of the more, the spaghetti western, high noon, Main Street, you have the showdown, that's where it happens.
The only thing that makes me question the other way is I could see myself using the Frontier Farm for more than just Wild West stuff. Like, for example, take away a couple of things and it's right in the middle of Camp Crystal Lake. For Don't Look Back.
Yep.
Because the barn definitely looks big enough. The house definitely is big enough. And then you use whatever is left over for cabins and stuff.
Dude, you could do Don't Look Back in the Main Street though. Just
you could. You definitely could. But all of those buildings are very clearly from that time, with the exception of the church, maybe. But barns and that style of house is so universal that you could probably almost use it in the modern day. Almost.
Well, I'm even saying you're in an abandoned ghost town.
Well,
That's
that
why-
too. Yep.
Yeah.
But there is more than just Wild West stuff. Unless you've got something else to say about these two.
No. I was actually doing a quick money conversion to see how much that costs.
Somebody has a voucher to use that he got for his birthday. And might have been looking into... Because he lost his email. and was organising to get his email back so that he could make purchases when these came out if it was the right box set. But that somebody doesn't know which box set he wants yet. I will be having a TTCombat order within the next week or two.
Let's see here. How much is that for? The white boxes are 140 for you, Bruce.
Yep.
Conversion wise. So, I mean, that's...
I need to spend another $25 to get free shipping, though. Sorry, £25 to get free shipping.
Oh, it's 125 pounds for free shipping now?
No, £100. Because it's 75 plus 25 is 100.
Oh, gotcha.
I can math, George. Not all of us are Marines that eat crayons. The next one is the San Geronimo Plaza White Box Bundle. So this is very clearly for Carnivale. And
it's Bruce, it's San Germain.
Okay.
That's the correct pronunciation.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have known that, but thank you. I actually do appreciate that. I'm sorry, but that tower is amazing. Like, seriously, that tower is awesome. I would like to make a formal complaint to Mr. Lewis Clark. Because, Lewis, I'm really getting tired of your sexy terrain making me want to play Carnivale. I can't afford another game. I already bought lots of games recently. I can't afford Carnivale as well. Stop it! Stop doing this to me. Before that ends up being what I make up my difference with.
You know what he could do to make this up to us?
Make it even worse by doing it even more.
No, I just have a challenge. We need to become a Rumble Slam set.
Oh, no. I kind of want to know what my powers would be now. Lewis, my powers need to be that my abilities only work when I roll ones. Nothing works unless I roll ones. Somewhere there is a chat between me and Lewis where we're writing a rule around my dice mechanics and trying to make it as cruel as we possibly can. I might have to look that up at some point. This took place... There was a private conversation between me and Lewis. And I challenged him to write a rule more cruel than the one that I did. Which I think my rule was something along the lines of, if I rolled anything but ones, I had to re-roll it. And if that re-roll was also a 1, then something even worse happens than what would have happened already. So it was like, you can't win either way. Moving on, because otherwise we're never going to get through this.
I just looked at Beggar's Alley now, too.
We will get there. Freighter Graveyard. So this is another 28mm one. Very much this is a warehouse type situation. You're on the docks or something. Very nice. The crane is a very nice looking centerpiece. This one definitely looks more challenging to build though. Going back to the original page. Nope, it's not listed. Moving on, we have the ruined Aquila sector, which is definitely not for 40k. Like, it's definitely not. Nope, definitely don't play in 40k with this. But
it's for Drop Squad Commander.
Look. There's some Marines from space walking through there, and there's some some space elves coming in the other direction. Some robots that might be from a planet that's beside Earth, maybe.
Bruce.
Yes.
That's the UCM in the Shaltari. This is for Drop Squad Commander.
Yes, Drop Squad. Yes. My apologies. We have a Castle Town Beggars Alley. So here we go, George. I'm right with you on this, to be completely honest. This is gorgeous.
This is the kind of terrain where you can use it in Age of Sigmar. You can use it in 40k. You can use it in whatever 28mm scale game. You could use this in Infinity. You could use this in...
You could use this in Carnivale. I mean, it's not going to look right because it's very clearly not Venice. But the multi-levels of this will work for Carnivale very easily. It's just a matter of, like, if you want to play Carnivale and you want to do it outside of Venice, you've got a set right here. I mean, I know that doesn't fit in the law, but if that's how you want to play it, you could do it with this very easily.
Yeah.
The only downside of this particular one is there's no water. But you can put water in it very easily.
Hello, it's called a well. Oh.
We have the 9th January Square, which I'm going to guess is a historical reference to a real place. I was
going to say, ours is the 6th of January, so can't be that.
Nope.
It's Pavlov's house ruined, Stalingrad. So it's all like Russian. It's something to do with Russia. If you know what this is referencing, I'd really love to know. Lewis,
it's not
make me feel
about...
stupid when you tell me.
Oh, come on. Did neither of you get that joke? Pavlov's house, it doesn't ring a bell.
Moving on. We've got another industry one here.
This is 10 mil for drop zone.
Yep. Yes. No, you're right, actually. So this is a 3x3 gaming board. Interesting. But perfect size. So you'd probably be wanting to buy a couple of these.
Or this and another one of their sets.
Yeah, I know it's coming up. If you just wanted it to be this, though, then you'd be needing to buy 2. However, there is a drop site in right next door, which is what you were just referencing. And this is all of the really sexy stuff that we were looking at recently that we said that we really liked.
This one's actually for 20. This one's 28 mil.
Is it?
Yeah. Look, scroll down a little bit.
There's versions of that for the... Oh, I'm wrong. Because they call it drop site, it confused me.
Bruce is wrong.
There's similar sites that are like this, or similar sets that have that.
I stand corrected. Boo. Okay, don't buy this for Drop Fleet. Zone.
Drop Zone.
Drop Zone.
It is a nice looking set, though. I do like this stuff. Sector 4. I want to call it Sector 7 because that's a Transformers thing, even if those movies are crap. I really like this set, though. I mean, we've seen versions of this a few times, but I really like that.
This is a really good looking set.
For Infinity.
Well, Infinity, Necromunda.
Necromunda was what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, Necromunda would work too.
This would be great for like kill team size games.
I really, really like this. And finally, the Gothica Inner City White Box for people that want to play Batman or Marvel Crisis Protocol. Because, let's be honest, that's what you're playing with this. I mean, you could do a modern shooter in here as well, but I'm looking at this and I'm thinking superheroes personally. I love the fact that there's very clearly a phone box in the middle of here that you're definitely not going to paint blue and have phase out halfway through the game. That's 100% what I would do with it.
It's not a phone box. It's a outhouse.
Boo! Well, you should still paint it blue.
Or
a chameleon circuit broker. That's all.
Put it on. Put it on. Whatever. But, yeah.
Well, you know what those are? The Air Force uses those socks.
Yes, we do occasionally. Shut up.
Okay. Sometimes they have to use them because somebody else is already using the 5-star toilet, so they have to go outside and use the other one. It's very difficult for them because it costs them at least 5 minutes trying to walk outside.
Yes.
They've outdone themselves this year, I think. This is certainly better than what I only remember 6 or 7 last year.
George knows what he wants for Christmas. He's going to have to guess in case he doesn't.
I very nicely asked Lewis to just send it to me last episode, so...
It's true.
You did. I do remember you saying that. My voucher is going to go towards one of these. It's just a matter of what. I mean, I already have buildings for Wild West, but I really want one of those sets.
Oh my. So there was that one indie we did a few months back where, they had some Wild West stuff and everything.
Yeah.
That looked really good. This is on par with that. I mean, this just looks so much like, yes, this is an Old West,
Yeah.
Square.
And like I said, I have, other than, now I have Don't Look Back, and I can, in theory, use this as like, the snot-nosed kids are in an old abandoned Wild West town. I have no real purpose for this other than I just really want it.
I don't really like the gallows in the middle of the town square. Like,
yes, I'll agree with you on that.
The hanging at high noon is going to happen tomorrow.
Personally, I think I'm leaning towards the ranch. Just because I can see myself using it in more games than I would the other one. I don't know.
Yeah, the ranch, the water towers, the windmill, the silo. I mean, those just look so. But yeah, the buildings. Yeah, those are just so.
Even some of the ranch houses out in the Midwest look very much like that, George. Even today. The barns and the ranch
I
house.
only have one question for Lewis that I might actually ask him. Have these been designed so that you can play on them on the inside, multi-level?
That's what I was
will
just.
They fall apart? Because if I want to use this for Don't Look Back, that needs to be closed.
I was looking at that house. If it's
Oh, the silo is a dice. I didn't even notice that.
Tower?
It's a dice tower. Oh.
Remember that board game that we talked about it like a year ago, Frosthaven, where like the centerpiece for the board game was a dice tower?
Yeah.
And then there was the other indie we talked about where the dice tower was, built into the terrain. More of this, where you have a dice tower that's on the table and it's part of the terrain. So it doesn't take up any additional space, but it helps you roll your dice.
I didn't even notice that because all I'd been looking at was the images of the full thing. Oh, that's incredible.
And it has the nice little trough tray for the dice to roll into.
Yeah. I really hope that there's not more of those in the other sets because I'm not going through them to find them now.
So just really quick, Bruce, I did look at the Pitchstone Bank because it's on the same page and it's in the next kit over. The bank is multi-level.
The one from the main street.
Yes. If you go and look at the bank is multi-level.
Yes.
So there is a good possibility that maybe that ranch house is.
I would be surprised if it's not, because generally speaking, most of their kits have been designed that way. From what I've never had them tell me no when I've asked this question before. But I don't know for a fact, which is why I'm going to ask. I'm going to have to make a decision on this before Christmas. Because otherwise I'll miss out like I did last year.
Get on it. You got like a month.
True. All right, moving on to a game we haven't covered since their Kickstarter. From memory, Moonstone is the game where I found and I was like, oh my god, this looks awesome. I really want this. But we were talking about it on the day that the Kickstarter was finishing. From memory. And their storefront wasn't live yet. It is now. But from memory, and this is about 6 months ago, so I don't know if either of you remember this.
I don't.
This is a whimsical fantasy game. It does not use dice, it uses cards. This is a new release from them, which is a fairy riding a hornet. Now, I'm sorry, but it's a fairy riding a hornet.
So your worst nightmare.
It's awesome!
Even with the hornet?
Yeah, I've never seen a hornet in real life. They don't exist over here. But yes, I do realise that they are essentially wasps on steroids. I don't really want to meet one in real life. I don't know how I would paint mine. Whether I would paint it this way or whether I would make it a wasp. I don't know. Are hornets actually blue like they've painted that one?
No.
They're black and white, black and yellow.
Yep.
So I'd probably do mine that way then.
Or you got the big murder hornets from Japan, which are orange or black.
Yeah, that are invading northwestern U.S. right now and Canada.
There's also an upgrade set for this where you can get clear resin wings, which just adds to it in so many ways, I think. The only thing I think of when I see this is that I know that the rest of the wings are not in clear resin. So part of me would go, is that going to make everything else look odd? I really, really like this. Maybe I will go through this at an Aiming the India at some stage. Maybe next episode. And give you guys a chance to actually look through the rest of the model range. It's all whimsical fantasy. It's all goblins and fairies. There's humans. There's a guy called... there's a guy whose surname is Fancy Hat. I can't remember his actual first name right now. So it's all very silly. It's all very... So rather than being fantasy-based or that's come from Lord of the Rings and that sort of thing, it's more fantasy in your fairy tale way of things. Baron Bon Fancy Hat, that's who I was thinking of. But as far as that Vespa model is concerned, I really like this.
It does look pretty cool.
How long have I said that I want to paint up a wasp monster?
I don't know.
I've been saying it for a while.
Oh, you have? I kind of figured it was in the realm with you and Hornets and stuff. You know, you're just like, no, I don't like it. It's scary.
Pretty much. Any thoughts, Major?
Nope.
Nope. All right, we'll move on then. Okay, coming up next, GCT Studios have released some artwork that, from memory, I think this appears on the back of their dice boxes that the new dice came out in. But these are all models that are coming at some stage in the future. Starting, I think, with possibly my favourite skeleton I've seen in months. All of the artwork on this is amazing, and that doesn't entirely surprise me. I love my Mr. Snake Man here with his Oni mask on. I mean, he's kind of really cool. I'm not sure he's as cool as the guy that's literally wielding a cannon, though. I mean, it's a cannon. Really cool looking wolf. And...
I don't think that's a wolf. That's a foo dog.
Oh, okay.
Just because... So in the... Oh, what happened? Oh, I opened something. Foo dogs were the, the dog beast-like thing. Even the big lion-looking things, those are even referred to as foo dogs because those were the Temple Guardian dealios.
Okay. Couple of samurai. There's a samurai there for the Minimoto. There's an old man there for the Shiho. Really cool looking samurai.
Yeah, the white one.
Cool looking demon.
I like that.
You like the
Very,
white one?
very traditional samurai there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Oni.
Yeah, I love the Oni. The Oni looks really nice. The old man riding on the turtle is actually a model that exists already. because a friend of mine owns it. Personally, as much as I want to say I love the Mr. Snake Man the most, I don't. I want the skeleton. That skeleton is just so cool. Any preferences from you guys as far as favourites is concerned? Major just said the White Samurai.
I do like the old dude on the turtle because it's like it's the separation of the character from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah. See that?
Right?
Either that or it's a creepy old man that's really creepy but teaches you how to throw fireballs. It's Master Roshi.
No, Roshi rides a cloud, not a turtle.
Well, true. That is a good point, actually. My favourite is the skeleton. Very close second with the man that's going to be shooting a cannon at you. Because, oh my god, he's shooting a cannon at you. I mean, A, how does it not tear his arm off? But is there anything more fantasy than I'm going to shoot a cannon at you?
They're called rocket launchers.
Yeah, but they don't shoot literal cannonballs.
No, but
cannonballs don't explode, so...
No, cannonballs explode.
Do they?
Yeah, certain cannonballs, they're back to the charge. You know, when, upon impact, they do explode and they send shrapnel.
Ah! I always thought that they would just steal. Or lead or whatever.
Some of them are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't get just a big old hunk of metal shot, you know, at that kind of speeds and everything. It's going to do so much damage on the battlefield. But some of them were designed to, they actually exploded and they
would shoot over, they would shoot over the heads of the marching infantry, and the cloud burst right above them to shower shrapnel down below.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on to Conquest. Conquest have some new stuff coming out for the Spire that is Centaur related. So these things are, hang on, I need to look at it. Centaur Avatara. So for those that are not fully aware of what the Spires actually are, Spires is Parabellum's version of elves. And in this world, they are definitely the bad guys. Like, there's not even a question about it. They spend their entire lives screwing around with the biology of other monsters to get slaves to work for them, essentially. And so here we have something else that they've been screwing around with and have sent out to fight for them. I quite like these. Like, they're not, I mean, they're Centaur, but they're not Centaur-like in any, like, they're very different from the Centaurs I'm used to.
Yeah, it was hard to tell that they were actually Centaurs until you actually looked closely.
Yeah.
Because of the way they're modeled.
Yeah. And I like the fact that there's different, like, there's very clearly different posing there. Like, there's the guy that's galloping. There's the guy that kind of almost looks like he's walking on his hind legs, even though he's not. Wait, hind legs? No, that's the bottom legs. So what would be the fore legs?
Four legs.
Yeah. They're all posed very differently. I quite like this. No idea how they work in game yet, but I do quite like the look of this. So they are on pre-order at the moment. Hey, if you want to buy some, you should go to the Parabellum website and use the code GettingTabled to get 10% off.
Is that a thing?
It is.
Wow.
Because then they can support us, and they don't actually have to pay to support us. They actually save money to support us. Now, this was a rumor about a week and a half ago that I seriously didn't believe. But at the same time, I was like, wouldn't really surprise me. They do own the license for Marvel, and they do make arguably the most popular zombie game on the market.
And they have the very recent Marvel series where called What If, where what if the Avengers turned into zombies?
Pretty much, based on the comic book of the same name. So yeah, we're getting Marvel Zombies for Zombicide, which is, I mean, maybe the least surprising thing I've heard from CMON in a while. But I'm not throwing shade. It's just legitimately, this is the least surprising thing in a while. It just makes a lot of sense. Why would they not do this? Marvel Zombies is legitimately a very popular What If story. The What If from the What If series was a very popular episode. And they own the rights. Why not? I mean, they are going to get to a point where they'll run out of stuff to do for Marvel eventually, but... Sorry, for Zombicide eventually, but you've got this stuff. You got to hit while the iron's hot. And the Zombicide iron is still fairly hot at this point.
I can see Zombicide becoming one of those games where it's around for forever, like Settlers Catan,
Yeah,
Ticket to Ride. I think as big as a hit it was for them, and it put them on the map as a game designer manufacturer, I don't think that game's going to go anywhere. If they are not around, someone will buy the rights and license for that game, and that game will still be around.
Yeah. Yeah, like very, very little surprising. No idea if it's going to hit retail or Kickstarter. I have my suspicions what the answer on that would be, just because it's CMON. But I wouldn't that is something that you could there's no risk involved in that at all. But there's been no risk involved in a lot of things that they've done on Kickstarter, so it could go either way. We haven't covered a lot of Black Friday stuff, largely because by the time most people will be listening to this, the sales will be over, so what's the point? I am covering this one, though, because, well, I really like Blacksite Studios. You get free love notes this weekend. It's great. But I don't actually care so much about the sale. There's some really insane... if you've liked what we've shown you on Don't Look Back, you can buy literally the entire range for $231.97. That is just insanely good value. There's also a bundle for Luna.
Holiday kit? What about the special holiday kit? What about the special holiday kit? What about the special holiday kit?
I was getting to the special holiday kit.
That looks like an iconic American movie.
It's amazing. I mean, back in the day, there was these square plastic boxes that you could put in a hole and it would just magically make a TV show or a movie appear on your TV. It was magic, like magnets are magic and nobody knows how they work. These were the same thing. And you would get these things from somewhere called Big Turkey Video. Not really, but they obviously can't use Blockbuster. I'm sorry, but this is the most fun piece of terrain I've seen in literal decades.
This is brilliant. You could reenact the scene from Screen now.
You could reenact one of the scenes from Evil Dead.
Also, I don't know why I just remember this. So, completely unrelated to this, but Netflix has ordered a comedy series in the style of The Office, starring the Asian agent from WandaVision.
Oh, okay.
About the last blockbuster.
Okay, I kind of like that idea. That's cool.
Because there is one left up in Washington State.
Yes, yeah. I have to admit, I don't have this big nostalgia for Blockbuster. And as much as you're going to think it's because we didn't have them in Australia, we did, but not everywhere. I mean, there was one in Melbourne that I saw and walked past, and I just kind of went, oh, they're here, and kept on going, because at that point I didn't care. I definitely have nostalgia for the old video rental stores, but it was just that's not the way they were over here. They were not all owned by the same business. They were all kind of different people. I mean, there were franchises that existed, but there was a Video City. I don't remember the one that... my favourite one is one when I was a teenager and was hiring video games and stuff from. So I definitely get the nostalgia for it. If I was to buy this, I would 100% present it exactly the way that it is here. Because everybody knows what it is, regardless of whether you had one or not.
George, did you see the minis that comes with it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's...
I really like this. So this is currently a pre-order. It comes with the MDF kit, the resin miniatures, and some free STLs to print out. That's the furniture that you see. So it's upgraded versions like so of the video
Movie racks
and the candy and so forth. All of which come straight out of the shops that I saw. That's exactly what they look like.
That is what they look like.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised it's taken this long for somebody to think of this. I mean, of all companies, it doesn't really surprise me that it's Blacksite that does it, because I mean, it fits in with the aesthetic of the game, especially with Don't Look Back. I mean, it fits in there so well. I like the fact that the top is not just an empty, like this, they've actually sculpted in the wiring on top of the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the aircon. Like, that's actually quite clever how they've done that. I really like this. And I'm glad that you marked out exactly as hard as I thought you would.
Yeah, no. When I saw this, I was just like, because with my copy of the game, I was just like, ooh, now I need the cabin, and
Yep.
like the cabin.
You can't buy the cabin yet. No, it will come back in stock again, but they're releasing it for a little while and taking it out, and just until they get there, because with MDF and stuff being more expensive than it is, everything of that nature is coming in waves at the moment, just so that they can get on top of everything.
Yeah.
Moving on. There's a Mega Man game coming, which is interesting.
What?
Yeah. So this is being done by Blacklist Games. Like this, literally, it's Mega Man, but as a board game. It's all like there's no minis in this. It's all standees and so forth. But
it's an old NES cartridge. Look to the box.
I know it's so cool.
And my childhood is right here.
It's set out in a way where when you come across bosses, there's certain things that you have to do. Well, sorry, when you come across enemies, there's certain things you have to do in order to get past them. And there's a dice mechanic where you roll the dice and it tells you what actions that you have, and you got to spend them properly to make sure you can get past without dying. It's kind of unique in that way. Well, from what I've seen, but it feels very, very Mega Man, because Mega Man is all about memorizing and attacking things the right way. And there's an example they give in the video later on where you're facing off against a boss and you've got to wait for him to do something, and then you got to jump over his attack and then shoot him in the head. So you've got to use so much for the weight, you've got to use something for the jump, and you've got to have an attack left over. It feels very Mega Man to me. Looking down further, in the past they've done something very, very similar with Contra. That's also on pre-order. If you click on the pre-order now, it takes you to their shop front. And there's totally a Contra game that's in exactly the same style box.
Yep.
But this one's more card-based. But still, it's Contra. I haven't looked at the Contra one as deeply as this one, so I don't know if that feels like Contra. This, to me, feels very Mega Man. I'm not a huge Mega Man nostalgia person. I get why people are. It wasn't a game that I played until I was an adult, really. And I don't even know why. I just didn't come across Mega Man when I was younger. Apart from there was a TV show where a kid got sucked into the TV and he entered Nintendo World. And there was a character in there called Mega Man that looked nothing like Mega Man. I can't think of what it was called. Captain Nintendo or something? I don't know. Moving on. For Amy, Indie of the Week? Not Indie of the Week, that's somebody else. Aiming for the Indie.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
This is what happens when you're watching a podcast before you do your own podcast. Okay.
I've heard this before.
I've come across these before. When I came across this, my first thought is, oh, have we covered these before? And I actually came across these guys originally because they do some accessories for Gamma Wolves. We might have looked at a couple of things from them before. So, there's a few things here, and all of this is good. The gaming widgets is something I'm going to have a look at in a second. There's also some airbrush stencils that I'm going to look at in a second. But for now, let's have a look at some terrain. So, we've got some very nice looking fantasy terrain, some modern terrain, and let's be honest, there's not really a lot of that. And some sci-fi stuff. I'm going to have a look at the fantasy stuff for the moment. We've got a dungeon system. Because
yes, I
anybody
have seen this before.
I hadn't.
So, I saw these guys a few years ago, or specifically this dungeon stuff.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about it is the guy went through with a painting tutorial for this stuff using 5 different types of rattle can to paint.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I thought that was really cool because he was just like, yeah, you painted this color. Okay, it's going to be darker down here, so we hold the can like this, and we paint it like this. It's going to be lighter here, so we'll go like this, flip it around. And then you wipe it, and it gives it this effect, and it's done. And it's like, dude, you just made terrain painting look like the easiest thing to do that even a child could do it.
Yeah. There's some really good value dungeon sets here, too. Like, $40 for a basic starter. Sorry, $45. $80 for the next level up, and then there's a full table for $175. This is all really good value. There's extra ones that have like opening gates, removable walls. The only thing I would say about these removable walls is that it's very clear that there's something there that gets removed. So you'd have to be careful with people metagaming. Doing a removable wall without it being obvious that there's something to be removed is really hard, especially with MDF.
Well, the way you do it is you have multiple, and it's randomly removed, and the others are stationary.
I like that. I mean, what I would do was I would just I would be watching and be like, yes, but your character doesn't know that. You can roll to see if you can find that if you would like. And I would just try to force them to actually, play the game properly.
Right.
If we go back, Hittelheim is very much your usual fantasy ruins. So this is your definitely not for Age of Sigmar type stuff. In saying that, you could easily throw this straight into 40k or Conquest or pretty much anything. It's fairly generic looking, which is good in this particular case. I mean, the problem with having any terrain that's specifically for one thing is that you buy it and then you never use it for anything else. So it's good that they're doing things that are generic looking. The new Gallows A is a really weird name for a terrain set. And very unique looking. I mean, it's all very boxy. But it doesn't... It's all very boxy and square, unlike a lot of the stuff that we were just looking at. But not in a way that feels like it shouldn't look boxy and square, if that makes sense. It feels like it's straight out of an old cartoon, to me. Maybe that's the paint job helping with that. But I kind of feel like I'm watching one of the old Zelda cartoons or something.
Or
something. Shrek, yep. Like it feels... It feels like something that I should recognize. Which I like. If I go back, I'm actually going to skip past the sci-fi stuff. Not because I'm not impressed by it. I mean, it's nice. I wanted to have a look at these last days stuff because they have a really nice looking church that actually has the pews and everything. I really like the look of that. And again, it looks like a church. Maybe it's not quite as... Like the one from the Wild West one is a little bit more elaborate, but than it would be. This just looks like it's a random church, which is clearly what they're going for.
Looks more European-ish. From the European countryside, maybe.
Possibly. I do believe they are US-based, though. But that's just what they're going for, obviously, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The farmhouse, however, looks like it's on the same scale as the cabin from Don't Look Back. It looks like it's the same size to me. Nice bit. It's furnished. Nice big open area on the inside. 3 rooms up top. Like, this feels decently sized. I quite like that. And last but not least, if you're trying to recreate, I suppose, GTA on the tabletop, and come to think of that, why has nobody done that yet? Then we've got a gun shop. No, seriously, why has nobody done a tabletop game for Grand Theft Auto? I guess there's no real army for it, though. Because it would be, like, maybe 2 or 3 characters at the most. But skirmish, why not? How you would include the actual GTA mechanics is probably the hard part.
Yeah.
Gun shop is not a piece of terrain I've ever come to think of. But just kind of makes sense, really. If you're playing in a modern... They keep on talking, because it's last days, this is very clearly supposed to be zombie stuff. But there's nothing about this that said... Like, you could have this in an actual modern day setting. Like, if you were playing moderns and you were playing an invasion of some regular city, then why would you not just have a gun shop? Well, if it's in the middle of the US anyway. So some really interesting stuff there. Like I said, there are some bundles, and I've kind of skipped past the bundles just because, well, it's the same stuff, but you're buying it all in bulk. There's a couple of teasers in there of what you can find in the sci-fi stuff. The new Ceres HQ building looks awesome. But if I keep on looking at terrain, I won't look at anything else. So...
What?
I know, right? It's amazing. So, moving on. If we go into accessories... So, first things first. This is how I came across this website originally. Guerrilla Miniature Games work with them to do like their accessories and so forth that people can buy to support the channel. That's how I came across this to begin with. But we've got some Death Rally, which is obviously Gaslands, because you even get Gaslands tokens, and gates for the game. I really like these gates, actually. I don't know how familiar you two are with Gaslands, but it's basically it's a death race. So there's gates that you've got to get through. In this, they've included traps and the gates, and there's weapons that you've got to try to avoid, and it's really nice looking stuff. The tokens are the same tokens that you would always see, but the thing I kind of liked, as boring as it sounds, is the widgets and dials. They're generic enough that they can kind of work for anything.
Anything.
They're pretty.
Oh wait. Oh, hold on.
George has either found something he likes or found something he doesn't like.
Yeah. Okay. So the witches and dolls I'm looking at. Oh wait, this is a big set. Never mind.
The grey and red ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one in the middle, that is a very specific 40K
Because
thingy there
it's
now.
got the turns and the command and everything on it.
Yeah, yeah,
You could still use that in everything else. I mean,
yeah.
it also has, let's be honest, it's got your objective markers 1 to 6 there as well. But I would like them to sell these wound markers separately, personally.
So the one thing that they do that I like
Yep.
are the stencils.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. Because there's some stencils in here that I haven't seen people do before. For example, the blast shield one, where they literally help you create a marble vein. I mean, this just looks... It's multi-layered, and it works. If you want to make marble... I mean, there are ways of doing it. It's certainly not the easiest thing in the world. This makes it look really easy. And I would love to do marble terrain. Or, not terrain, but marble bases. And that makes it look easy. From there, you've got your usual things. Your death masks are your symbols. So there's symbols there for camo. There's specific icons that belong in certain armies. There's certain patterns that you would kind of make sense with. Stencils are your usual... You've got your usual grids that you kind of usually see. Mylar patterns and so forth. And then there's terrain-specific ones where you are creating patterns for terrain. There's one last thing I want to look at, though, which is... Now, where is it? Why can't I find it? Go to basing and movement. So I'm going to go... Wait, hang on. Is that it? Yes. Okay. So I'm going Fitz GW just because that's the one that I've picked. These are multi-layered acrylic base inserts. So you glue these on top of your original bases. So, for example, there's a Mesotech one about halfway down. These are literally just things that you glue in place to create a multi-layered base really, really easily. Like this is
there it is.
super, super easy. So you've got 3 layers of stuff here to create multiple layers. So you can have so this is just like fancy looking tiles essentially. There's other ones where it's cobblestones, streets. The wood one's a little bit more simple. If I look at something like
That's
the
pretty
ship
cool.
hull is probably the closest thing I can think of that would maybe work for Star Wars, but you'd have to paint it the right way for it to look right. Yeah. It's a very, very simple idea. There's been a few companies that's tried to do the whole MDF basis thing, and because it's only 2D, it's kind of hard to get it to look right. But
Yeah.
this is the best version of it I've seen by a long way. Because you're just you're gluing down your base layer that has a bit of thing on it. You do the next level, which has more decoration on it, and either it makes it look like it's ruined, or it's just a different level of tile or street or whatever. And then you've got another one that you kind of glue to make it look like an angle. So it's really, really simple. And I really think it works, personally. Ultimately, this is what I was building towards. This is the one that caught my attention.
Yeah, I like I said, I found these guys Oh, I don't know how long ago, but yeah, he did the whole little, like the quick tutorial on like, hey, this is how you do terrain quick, because it's terrain. It doesn't have to be, your centerpiece. It has to look good. Here's how you make it look good and make it look good quick.
Yeah.
That's what I really liked, is the fact that he was, and it was with their terrain too. So,
which is the important part from their point of view,
right?
obviously.
Well, the thing is, like, this is how he did it on his terrain, which, that's the implication of, you buy my terrain, you do it like this, it'll look as good as this.
Yeah.
Probably not, because, he's got many years of, rattle canning it on real quick and making it look good. So
yeah. And that is a technique that you need to pick up over time too. Viv from Knights of Dice is kind of the same way, where he will openly show you how to do stuff. But because he's been doing it for so long, he makes it look really, really easy. I was really... Like I said, I'd come across these guys because of somebody else's advertisements before. But I'd never really looked very closely at everything else that they'd offered. It's actually the bases that initially got my attention. But that terrain... I really love some of the stuff that they're doing there with their terrain. And all of it's fairly well priced, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that shipping to Australia is just like this. I will never buy any of this stuff. There's no point in me ever trying. But there's some really good stuff here. Shall we move on?
Cream, glue, twine, paint.
What are you being up to, Socks? I can see a Star Wars box behind you. At least I think it's a Star Wars box.
It is Star Wars box.
Placement?
What's that?
I said, is that product placement there?
No. So, local store had their Christmas. Well, actually, get Christmas games or family games for the family. But while I was there, I picked up the Lat for Legion.
Oh, yeah.
So, little flying transport that could be used by my Empire or my clone army. So, I will be working on that because we'll be doing a skirmish kind of campaign starting in January at the store.
Yep.
So, I'm trying to get my army all ready for it. So, be putting that together for it in case I want to use it. So, that's what I'll be working on. But I haven't worked on anything really yet. So.
What about yourself, George? What have you been up to?
Mainly just playing games, with the fam and stuff like that, with everything going on. I need to sit down and start doing some stuff again. Yeah. Because
worked on Mel?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, because
we haven't discussed that publicly. No, we don't know what you're talking about, Socks.
That's true.
There's definitely no ulterior motive there with a Mel action with a Mel miniature. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, there's no plans for that at all. I have been stalking the Black Site Studio, because apparently there's a $50-ish thing that is for me to use on game stuff, and the obvious thing was, oh, get the cabin. Well, now we just saw the Big Turkey movie store.
Yeah. Have you got a game of that in yet, or have you built any of it yet?
No, I've not, because that involves sitting down and doing that.
And being home to do it, I suppose, too.
Yeah. So, no, a game of that will come at some point. I'm now from the hobby standpoint of, like, do I spend $60 on not a very specific piece of terrain? I mean, okay, the Big Turkey video is pretty specific to that game. It'd be hard to use it somewhere else. Versus, like, the Wild West set from TTCombat.
Could kind of fit anywhere.
Yeah, so I'll have to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, things will be coming.
So, I've had a few things going on. I got a game of Bushido in Friday night. And you know how dice just always love me and never treat me poorly?
Nope.
No, neither do I. I don't know anything about that at all. Double ones and double ones. And, oh, that's okay. I can re-roll this. Oh, it's another one. It actually... I brought a force that was... So, on average, with Bushido, you're usually looking at around 6 to 8 models. I brought 6. And I knew that was going to be a risk because I was potentially going to have less numbers than he did. He had 7, so he had more than me. I do get a pass that I can use if I'm careful with it, which I did. And it started out, but the upside was that I had 4 significantly powerful characters that in theory should have done very well. It started out okay for the first few activations. The first person to die was my most powerful. And it was before he'd done anything. Quickly followed by the second most powerful. Before he'd done anything. I did attack somebody at one point. And I did like a little bit of damage. And then it was just death after death after death. There was one occasion where I was like, okay, no, I need to be careful here because I'm starting to run out. So I had 3 dice to use, and I decided to use 2 of those for defense and 1 of them for attack. I don't remember what the defense was, because in this particular case it doesn't matter. They threw everything into defense. So I wasted my dice that I could have been using to do some real damage, because he would have been... and I didn't do any damage because he had 3 dice to my 1 at that point. It was possibly one of the most humiliatingly one-sided games I've ever been part of. And I mean, that, like, he wasn't playing in a nasty way. He was just playing normally. It's just, it went that way for me so quickly. We make jokes about my dice all the time, and I think people just... I suspect that there's people out there that just kind of expect that I'm kind of just moaning about dice because, you know, that's what gamers do. But there's legitimate history here of me, like, dice, especially D6s. You guys have seen it. They hate me with a seething passion. I have witnesses from all over the country of this, from 40k tournaments. There's a fairly notorious one we've referred to a few times. I didn't do very well in the Drop Fleet Commander tournament at CanCon a couple of years ago for the same reason. It just... I'm really growing frustrated with dice again. I need to play a game with cards.
I was going to say, or would you get you into Warlord games, and because they use D10s for a lot of the games.
Wild West Exodus does as well. I definitely want to get a Wild West Exodus game in at some point. Because D10s tend to be more fair with me. I mean, dice are dice. It's just the way that it happens. And I'm not sitting here going, well, I mean, I am, but... I was really happy that I got a game in. It was just really frustrating that it immediately went in that direction. And it was like my last character was killed in the second activation of the 3rd round. And probably should have died before that, but we got something wrong earlier in the game. The one thing I will say, though, is when I was playing with Peter, he actually pointed out something that Justin and I had been doing wrong previously in a game that also hadn't gone very well for me, that significantly tied the game previously in the other favour. So my previous game probably should have gone better than it did. Which is okay, because it was the first time we played it. We were going to make mistakes. Otherwise, like I said, I'm really happy that I finally got a game in. It's the first game I've had for quite a while. Since me and Steve played the game of Don't Look Back, at least, anyway. I've received some new Bot War stuff that I haven't opened yet. That'll be something I film later on. I've got a new board game called Nemesis, which is totally not Alien, but it's definitely Alien. I think that might have been something we covered about 1.5 years ago. George has just thought of something, obviously.
Yeah, because
if you're throwing me a link, don't throw it to me in Discord.
Oh. I was about to throw it to you in Discord.
I know, that's why I said something. Because you forget every time why I don't do that.
I don't forget. I just choose not to remember. Let's see here. And here. And open faster. And here. And here. And that game.
And so now I move back across to... Yes, this is exactly the game I was talking about. So I've filmed an unboxing of this that is now available on our Patreon. I have not played it yet. I intend to play it at some point in the next month. Because I have some time off coming up in December. I've got 3 weeks off. So I definitely want to get some games of a few things in. You and I need to organise to get a game of Super Fantasy Brawl.
Yes. The only reason why I'm commenting, Bruce, is I have that game.
You have it?
I have that. I have it coming.
Ah.
Along with its expansion Nemesis Lockdown.
Yeah. I've only brought the base game at this point because I figure I want to play the base game before I buy expansions. Because...
Well, no, Lockdown finished its Kickstarter last year, and so it's not even produced yet.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what I've been up to. There is also another purchase that I made that I'm not going to talk about at this stage, because I'm going to wait for it to arrive and we will do the coverage of that when it happens. Coverage of Conquest continues as my building and painting and stuff continues. It's been kind of rules focused of late. I forgot to get rid of my Facebook. Otherwise,
Game talk.
Talk nerdy to me.
somebody's excited for Game Talk. Maybe
Well,
it's
that's HR.
because it's maybe PHR that he plays, so he's excited for it.
No, that's okay. We can skip this. Would you like to do Shaltari instead, George?
Yeah, no, let's talk about the Resistance.
The Resistance? Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. No. Okay, fine. You can have your way, Mr. Selfish. No, we were covering this anyway. They were the next on the list. All right. I am going to start with the Orion Cruiser. And it looks like they've updated the website again.
They
And
did.
it's looking really, really nice. Like, the new version of this build is really pretty. Okay, so the PHR Orion is 107 points. It's got a scan of 8 inches, a signature of 6 inches, thrust of 8 inches. It's got 11 hull, 3+ armor, 5 point defense, and it comes in a group of 1 to 2, medium tonnage. There's nothing special about it.
Nope.
You have 2 medium caliber broadsides. They are 4+ lock, 8 attacks each, 1 damage. 1 is on the side left, 1 is on the side right, for reasons that we will point out once we've covered all 3 ships. Fusillade 3, which you will probably start seeing as a bit of the theme across the line, and they are linked, which is why I've covered them both at the same time. You also have a medium caliber turret, which is a 4+ lock, 2 attacks, 1 damage, and that one's purely on the front. That's also linked in the same way the other 2 are. And you've got Wasp drones, which are a 3+, D3+1, 1 damage, front, side, and rear. That's your close action. Now, People that haven't played Drop Fleet may not know this. People that have played it obviously will know this. I'm just going to point this out for those that don't. The big thing about PHR is the broadsides. If you're not familiar with how they worked in naval warfare, the whole point was that you were trying to get in between two of your enemy vessels and firing off in both directions either side. That's why everything is linked and you can use these things at the same time. PHR are a force where you really need to be planning ahead to make sure that you get your ship in the right spot. Because otherwise you're not going to be as effective as you would have been otherwise.
No.
I love how Sock said, you have to plan 2 or 3 turns in advance for a game that lasts 6 turns.
And that's why I say PHR is probably one of the hardest of the 5 factions to learn how to play.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because you have to get yourself lined up to the point where you're going to be able to shoot both broadsides now that they have linked, which is a huge key rule. Because I just looked in the original book and they did not have linked in the original rule set. So I like this.
No, linked was added because there was the whole why aren't these linked? It's the same weapon system on So
from memory, it was supposed to have been, and it was a mistake.
I think so,
but I could be remembering that wrong because I'm pretty sure we talked about the change.
Possibly, yeah. But Fusillade is definitely a new change.
Yes, Fusillade is.
And so if you go weapons free, you get that three dice bonus, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because I was always thinking 8 dice with medium guns is not. It's enough, but at the same time, I felt like I was getting a disadvantage.
Yeah.
At times.
George, do you want to cover the Ajax?
The Francis?
Yep, please.
I was there. Where did it go? All right, the Francis. It's a hardpoint cruiser. Has a scan of 8, signature 6, thrust of 8, hull of 11, armor of 3, point defense of 5, grouping of 1 to 2, tonnage of medium, nothing special about it. Has a light caliber battery, which is a 5-up lock, 6 attack, 1 damage. Side left, side. Wait.
There's 4 of them.
Okay, yeah. So all 4 batteries are the same thing. It's all light caliber. You have 2 left and 2 right. They all have fusillade of 3. So if you can get in between 2 ships, that's a lot of dice to roll.
Yeah.
Bruce might get 3 hits.
If I'm lucky, I might.
You're lucky. Plus, it has the caliber light, and the caliber light, to remind you guys, if you shoot at light tonnage ships, you get a bonus to your lock value.
Yeah, your lock goes from 5 up to 4 up.
Yep. So,
which might help me get 4 hits.
And we're not done yet. It has a supernova laser. That's a 3-up hit, 1 attack, 1 damage, front and arrow, with a burn through a 3 and a flash. So it has a little bit of a usefulness of you can point it at something and make a little hole.
Yeah.
Because with the burn through a 3, you're going to do 3 damage max. With a lock of 3 up, so 3 and 4, so 5, 6, those are your criticals. So I mean, you have a reasonably decent chance to do a little bit of damage without having to be a magical mastermind and getting this, lined up broadside on a light armored ship or a light classification ship.
Which, especially given that we're only talking about 100-point cruiser, that's not bad. We got options here, which is good.
Yeah. No, I think when we first talked about these, I want to say the Ajax is one of the best light cruisers that the PHR did have.
It's a medium cruiser, but sure.
Oh, is it a medium?
It's a medium.
Oh. Okay, I guess it is a medium, huh? Yeah.
The only downside of this particular ship is the fact that the big guns are a 5+. But that means if they weren't, I actually think this would be too powerful.
Yeah, because you're rolling 12 dice each broadside, potentially 18 with the new fusillade rules. If you go weapons free,
36 dice if you set it up right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
I'd get maybe 4 hits.
So if you're rolling against light tonnage ships, and you're rolling a 4+ lock.
Yeah.
So.
You missed the last one, George.
Oh, is it your favorite thing? The Wasp drones?
Yeah.
That are a 3-up D3 plus 1 front, side, rear, close action?
Yeah. No, I don't... This is not... it's not the absolute beast killer ship, but it's only a 100-point ship. You're not expecting it to be the literal best ship in the game. Anyway, we need to finish covering what we've got here first. Perseus. Socks.
Yep. So the Perseus is a hybrid, I would say, in terms of medium cruisers. It's 105 points, 8 scan, 8 sig, 8-inch thrust, 11 hull, 3+ armor, 5 point defense, a grouping of 1 tonnage value of medium. It's got 2 light caliber batteries, one on the left and one on the right. Same values as the other for the Ajax and the Francis. 5+ lock, 6 attack, 1 damage. Caliber light, linked 1, fusillade 3. But then also has a half battery. It has a half battery of lights and a half battery of heavies. So it has a 3+ lock on the heavy batteries, 2 attack damage, 2 attack, 1 damage, left and right for those. Caliber heavy and super heavy, linked 1 as well, and fusillade is 1. And then it has a medium caliber turret, 4+ lock, 2 attack, 1 damage, front arc. And then the Wasp drones is a 3+ lock, D3 plus 1 attack, 1 damage, 360 in close action. So this one's pretty nice because it can hit light targets, but then also can, if it's next to heavy cruisers or battleships, dreadnoughts, it can help take some punches down on those too. So
yeah,
pretty nice little hybrid cruiser for the PHR.
So for those that are watching the video version of this, I'm going to point out what is a mistake. These 2 light caliber batteries should both be linked 1, and the 2 heavy caliber batteries should be linked 2. That is an error on their part, which I will point out to them. Can you guys remind me at the end of the chat, just in case I forget, to send a message through to the chat? And that's like, it's a very easy error. Like, there's nothing. It's just they've typed 1 instead of 2. That's very, very simple. A good ship.
Yep, I like to bring a pair of these.
I wouldn't be bringing anything more than that, but I would argue that a pair of these would be a must. And I would be saying at least a pair of the Ajax as well.
So here's where I'm going to make my argument of which one is better.
Yep, I hadn't gotten there.
I'm going to say the Perseus is the. Are we done with them?
Yeah. No, we've got you've got those 3. You've also got the troop ships, and then you got the Icarus. Those are also mediums.
Are they? Oh, okay. Never mind.
They look like heavy cruisers, but they are actually medium cruisers as well.
Well, let George finish his comment first, because I don't think these are going to change his opinion.
Yeah, no. I'd say the Perseus is the better option, and here's why. You do lose a lot of your light caliber shots.
Yes.
Unless you are targeting, the frigates and the dropships and stuff like that. Those light caliber shots, all they are is shots in mass. They're not going to do a lot of work for you.
Mm-hmm.
But getting those heavy caliber shots in, they're going to work on anything, and they're going to work a little bit better. Which, when I say a little bit better, that's a 2-ups. They're hitting heavy and super heavies.
Yeah. So I'd get like 5. I'd get like 5 hits.
Yeah.
Oh no, that doesn't
Possibly,
work. There's only 4 shots, so I'd get 2 hits.
So what are we looking at there with the heavy caliber? That's 4 attacks, fusillade 1. So what is that? 6 attacks then?
Yep.
6 attacks, 3 on each broadside. Yep.
Yeah. That's not terribly... The way the PHR is set up, that's not terribly bad.
No, it's not at all.
So, and I think those are going to do some good work. The other thing, then, is the medium caliber turret, and here's why it's better than the Ajax. Ajax, that's a front narrow because it's a laser. This is a turret. It could spin a little bit.
Yeah.
You got one less shot, but you're hitting on a 4-up. It's dealing 1 damage, but it can move. You know, you're not restricted to this. You got this.
You get the front 90 into the front 23 or 21% arc.
Yeah. So
the narrow is.
So for 5 points more, I'd say this is the better option over the Ajax, just because of those heavy caliber batteries. And yes, while statistically you want to roll more dice, as proven by some of the Shaltarios, versus the disintegrator banks versus particle lances. But in the case of 5-ups versus 3-ups, you want the 3-ups.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Moving across to the troop ships then. Looking at the Ganymede. So this is an assault troop ship for 135 points. H-scan, 6 signature, 7-inch thrust, so it's slightly different there. Hull of 13, armor of 3+. Point defense of 5. It's a group of 1 and a medium tonnage. The special is that it's launch, because, it's a troop ship. So these have medium caliber batteries. 4+ lock, 4 attacks each, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. They have 1 damage. There's nothing special on these ones, though, which I find very interesting. This, however, also has a bombardment battery. So it's a 3+, 6 attacks, 1 damage each, front, side, and rear. It's a bombardment weapon. And last but not least, you've got medium caliber turret, which is kind of similar to the other one we just looked at. 4+, 2 attacks, 1 damage, front. Nothing special on that. And you've got the same Wasp drones that the other 3 have all had, which is your close action weapon. The big difference with this one is that you've got your bulk lander. You've got 2 launch on your bulk lander. So you're getting 4 things down on the ground. Wait, 4 things? Is it 2 or 3?
Troops.
6.
It's 3.
It is 3,
You
yeah.
can launch. It's 3, a set of 3 troops or the little defense battery.
Yeah.
That you can set down. We go over the other troop ship and then we can discuss between the two.
Yes. Yeah.
So the Orpheus is the other troop ship for 135 points as well. Same stats as the Ganymede in terms of the scan, sig, all that. Has a full broadside of lights on either side, 5+ lock, 12 attack, 1 damage, side left, side right, caliber light. And then it has a supernova laser with 3+ lock, 1 attack, 1 damage, front narrow, burn through 3, and flash, and then the same Wasp drones as pretty much everything else, and a bulk lander of 2. My preference, I like the Ganymede because I can sit that on top of a sector, drop ships, drop troops on it, but also bombard the sectors as my troops are going down.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with Socks on that too, just because, one, it also has those medium caliber turrets or batteries, so it's got a little more teeth against bigger ships. Yeah. If strike carriers come up and harass it, the other one, sure, that's better because with the light caliber, but the odds of that happening are not that great. The other thing is bombardment battery. So if you're setting it over a sector, right, and you're trying to take control of everything, you can sit there and bombard one of it, take that out, and then you got less to focus on and still secure it because you've hopefully possibly taken out some stuff then too.
And if you've got support troops like the Ajax or the Perseus with the light caliber weapons, you've got that support to take out the strike carriers that are floating nearby.
Here's the only thing I want to touch on. The caliber batteries on both of these ships are not linked. I believe that's an error because the whole point of PHR is that those things are supposed to be linked.
Yeah, That could be a typo.
If it's not an error, then I'm less interested in these ships.
Except they're bulk landers, so that could be why they're not linked, because...
Well, it's not really the purpose of a bulk lander, I suppose. But, like,
Right.
that doesn't mean that it's not going to have to defend itself.
Yeah. So, of the two troop ships, Sox is 1,000% right. I think the Ganymede is better.
Yeah. I agree.
Of the two cruisers, I think the Perseus over the Ajax. That being said, though, for that 100 points, though, that Ajax is still good.
We also have the Icarus, which is a medium, and that's the fleet carrier for the PHR.
Yeah, we already know that that's the best because it has PHR fighters and bombers, and those things are stupid.
Score! George has it right.
Icarus, so 115. So 8 scan, 6 sig, 8 thrust, 11 hull, 3+ armor, 5-point defense. Everything else is the same. Launch we just covered. Medium caliber is the same as what I just read, but these ones are linked. Fusillade 2. Medium caliber turret, same as the one that we've just looked at. Wasp drones, same as the one we've just looked at. 2 fighter and bomber. So yeah. Depending on how much you want to take, it's just a matter of whether you want to go this way or one of the heavier ships, I suppose. But for 115 points, getting 2 launch on the board is not a bad option.
Especially when, like George said, PHR still kind of have the best bombers in the game.
Yeah. And the thing I like about this is that unlike a lot of the other launch ships, this one doesn't feel like it's only a one-trick pony. Like, this has your medium caliber batteries that are still going to do something on the table.
Well, and that's exactly like the Ganymede too. It's a bulk lander.
Yeah,
but it's got some medium caliber batteries. Oh, it can do bombardment too. I mean,
yeah.
So, how many other ships in the game can sit there and land troops and blow up the ground surrounding the troops?
It's 2 in the game, both a PHR. Because our strike carrier can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover the Theus very quickly. Normally I'd leave this when we're covering the lights, but it's the only light cruiser they have. There's no point really spending an entire episode just talking about one ship later down the line. But 89 points. Everything's kind of the same except their thrusters 10 for some reason. Light caliber batteries, so this is the same as the previous ones. Except they've accidentally put linked to... They've done the same error with this as they did the previous one. And the mediums, which is the same as what I just read. So, very, very similar to the other ones, but a hell of a lot cheaper.
And we can have a grouping of up to 3, which is pretty nice if you want to go that cheap.
Yeah.
Well, so again, it's a light cruiser, not a medium cruiser. So
yes,
more thrust. It can go faster, sure. If you look at the hull, it's got 2 hull less.
Yeah.
Yes.
2 inches of thrust for 2 hull. I think that's a pretty good. I think that's pretty good trade.
Yeah.
The light caliber and medium caliber on all that entire ship for less than 90 points. That's a great ship.
Honestly, I'd be taking 3 of these.
So I will say this, as a Shaltari player, I do not have a single light cruiser built.
None of
for
yours
my
are worth
Shaltari
it, though.
Because this, in my opinion, this is like one of the best light cruisers in the game, period. I think the other one that's really great is a UCM one.
There's a couple of decent Scourge ones, too.
Yeah, but this right here, I mean, it's got speed. It has a decent scan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got PHR armor, which, PHR armor is the best in the game. It's got some really decent weapons. If I see a PHR list without this ship, I'm going to question it a little bit. Unless they're doing like some full-on like scorched earth bombardment, list where, they can go hell.
You know what you were saying earlier about the Francis? You're not really sure if it's worth it just for the shots.
Mm-hmm.
I see no reason to build one when you've got this.
You're absolutely right too.
You can take
just because
3 of these,
and you get the same amount of shots plus the mediums if you go weapons free.
Like, I would take this every day. Like, I would argue that this is a must take alongside the other suggestions that we've already suggested. You wouldn't want any more than 3, but you definitely want at least 2, but I would prefer 3 in the list.
I'd say do the full group limit on this guy. And,
that would be my preference. It depends on what else you want in the list, though. If you were struggling to keep it under whatever your limit was, then maybe you could go down to the 2, but I'd be pushing to get to the 3 if you can.
Yeah.
That's 267 in terms of points between the 3.
It's a bargain.
Because,
yeah.
It's what, 16 or 18 plus 3, so 20, 27 shots for the light calibers if you're going weapons free between all 3.
Yep.
On one side.
The PHR have some really, really good options. I mean, they've always had some really good options. The hard thing with the PHR is that you have to think so far ahead. But after a few games, your friends should be having some serious trouble. If you're someone that's struggled with the maneuver side of things, the fact that your ships are so well equipped is going to start causing them problems. How much problems they have depends on how well you move them.
A game tip that I will provide is I find that I have to bring my ships on at a slight angle. That way I can still get some of my broadsides up the then turns 2, 3, or 4. When I'm near the middle of the board, I go straight on. Turn it dead straight on. That way I can, by then I'm in the middle of the battlefield. So, and sometimes turns 1 and 2 I'll go silent running. Because most of the time I'm not going to be shooting much. And I don't want Shaltari players or Scourge players to ping me. With some of their burn-through options and their speed of the Scourge weapons and ships.
That's and the range of Shaltari.
The range of the Shaltari, exactly. That I'll go silent running for a turn or 2 with my PHR until I'm ready to go full-on broadside.
Yep. So, that's Game Talk for this week, or this fortnight. Upcoming events...
The apex of forthcoming days.
You almost held it. You almost held it.
All right. Couple of things. Why am I echoing?
You sound fine to me.
No, I hear the echo.
I think it's on your side, George. Nope, it's gone. Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. So, Conquest Games Tournament is coming up in April of next year. 15th to the 17th. We've covered this a couple of times already. If you want to get along to that, you can go to conquest.as for Sam, N for Nelly.au. It's a fairly decent sized tournament. Definitely worth having a look at if you're going to be in Melbourne. It's in Coburg specifically. There's also the Broadside 2. It's an official Armada tournament. And when I say official, I mean literally it's being run by Mantic. Yeah, sorry. Wrong Armada, socks. It's a 4-round tournament. All players will receive a mystery gift because it's being run by Mantic. Of course you do. There is a fleet painting competition. It's based at Mantic Games in Nottingham, the UK. £10 registration. It takes place on the 5th of March 2022. I don't know why I wrote 2021 there. And you can buy tickets for the event at manticgames.com. Like I said, it's literally a Mantic tournament. There is a Drop Fleet Commander tournament coming up. This is being run from Urbana, Illinois. For some reason, I did not write down what date it was. which I'm going to look up in a minute. 999 point tournament. Oh, sorry, the four rounds for the previous one. I don't know if I said that. You are allowed to, in the drop fleet, it's 4 battle groups maximum, which is fairly normal.
It's this weekend.
That's why. That's why. Okay. So this is the one that JP pointed out. It's a 3-round tournament. It's $15. If you want to go to this and you're not going, it's too late. I should have deleted that. That's my fault. You probably have enough time to turn up and see who wins. And if you do, tell them that Jason the Bruce is jealous that he's not there.
Me too.
Ready to BCB. What was that? Sorry,
No,
George.
I just left Illinois.
I was gonna say, I don't know. It's Illinois. I've been there recently.
Me too.
It's
All right.
moist.
Ready to BCB is a tournament happening in Victoria, Australia. This one is hosted through Facebook. If you want to do a search for it, B for Bob, C for Cat, B for Bob. It's a 1-day tournament. It's a 3-day casual infinity tournament. It's probably important to tell them what game it is, Bruce. It's on the 11th of December at 9 a.m. in the morning. Has it been a while since you played in person? Have you barely played the 4th edition at all? No worries. Come down, meet some new players and old friends, roll some dice, and brush those cobwebs off. That's literally their little spiel for the thing. It's a $20 entry. You've got to pay via PayPal. It's based at the House of War in Ringwood. And finally, at OrcaCon on the 8th of January at 12 o'clock, there is a Moonstone tournament. This is an event that takes place in Bellevue, Washington. I assume WA is Washington. Some experience is helpful, but not necessary. So this is a tournament that is specifically trying to attract more people to the game, to the point where on the website it even states that if you don't own any minis, the person running it might be able to help you out. If you are someone that takes advantage of that, treat other people's minis properly. Don't be that guy or girl. And if you accidentally drop something and break something, apologize forever. If you would like to head along to that, it's orcacon2022.sched.com. I'm going to throw it in the show notes for all of these. So you'll be able to get the information there. Thank you to those that support us. If you're in a position to do so, please consider sponsoring us on patreon.com/gettingtabled. It's $2 a month. You get early access to almost everything that we do. There's a whole slew of videos that I've uploaded over the last couple of days that's currently there that will not be live until much later in the week, even some of them next week. We've got a couple people that support us. We'd very much appreciate as much help as we can get. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please join us, subscribe to us. We really want to get past that 1,000 marker before our next birthday. Please support us on there if you can. If you want to follow us on social media, it's facebook.com/gettingtabled. You can email us, gettingtabled@gmail.com. Twitter, @gettingtabled. And Instagram is @gettingtabled. Everything can be found on our website, which is gettingtabled.weebly.com. Hey, George, do the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.